yours, by the way.
Thank you very much for watching my film. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm sure you can appreciate a lot of time and effort goes into making these films, so if you did like it, please consider subscribing to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, and any questions or comments, leave them in the comments box. You can also find links to my Instagram and Strava page on there as well if you'd like to follow me on those. Now, I usually go for these bikepacking adventures solo, but every now and then I do like to go on a bikepacking trip with my dad. It's been a while since we did the last one. The last one was, in fact, the trip to the Peak District we did nearly a year ago today. So if you would like to watch that, just click the link up there and you can see how that turned out. It was lovely weather and a great adventure, just like this one actually. So we hired a van, and we did that so that we could put both the bikes in and all our luggage and get to Galloway Forest Park for this bikepacking trip. The reason I did that rather than catching the train like I normally do is it's quite difficult to get to the area that we wanted to get to by train. There are train stations, it's just there's a lot of changes, especially where we live down in the north of England. It seemed to take forever, so it just made more sense to hire a van on this occasion, and it was cheaper as well. So we hired a van and we headed up to Galloway Forest Park. We started the route in a little town called Newton Stewart, as you'll have seen at the beginning of the film. I've been to Newton Stewart before. It was in October time and it was absolutely miserable weather. I got absolutely soaked and there was some quite severe flooding as well. But I definitely wanted to come back. I'd seen posts all over when I was there about the National Cycle Network and some of the gravel trails around there, so I made it a point of interest that I had to come back and visit, and I'm so glad I did. As a bit of a Christmas present, I paid for me and my dad to stay at the Creebridge House Hotel in Newton Stewart. Obviously we did this in April, so it was a little bit of a late Christmas present, but it was a really nice place to start the journey. They were kind enough to let us keep the van there as well for a couple of days, which was brilliant, so we didn't have to worry about parking. We could leave all our stuff at the hotel. We started off by having a lovely breakfast, which was very, very nice, a traditional Scottish breakfast as always. You've got to do it when you're in Scotland. And we set off on the trail. We were only going to do about 35 miles on the first day, which I think is more than enough for that sort of terrain, especially with all the filming, obviously, that I have to do. And then the plan was to do, on the second day, about 20 miles. So it was a relatively short couple of days, But given the terrain and given the filming, like I said, I think that was more than enough. But it was a lovely, lovely route. We followed National Cycle Network Route 7 pretty much for the entire trip. We set off from Newton Stewart and headed initially up to Creetown, which is a tiny little village with not very much there at all. There's a little shop and a garage and other bits and bobs. But we really wanted just a little break and a hot drink, but we couldn't seem to find a cafe. So we carried on cycling until we stumbled across, just on the outskirts of Creetown, the Gem Rock Museum, which was a little bit strange given that there was not really anything else there in the town. But we went in anyway and saw some lovely rock formations and sat in the cafe and had a hot drink and carved up again for the rest of the trip. But it certainly was an interesting place to stop. A little bit weird, but still, if you want to test out this route, why not pop in and see it for yourself? Once we'd had our hot drink and we carved up at the Gem Rock Museum, we carried on cycling and joined the National Cycle Network Route 7 again. Now at this point, it does start to go a little bit more off-road and a little bit more remote. You head down to a viaduct, which is quite spectacular in itself, and then you work your way up to Clatteringshaws Loch. Now, there is a sign actually that says you need to be prepared because it is quite remote. There's very little phone signal. We actually carried some radios with us, just like walkie-talkie, so that we could communicate if we did get separated. But it's definitely something you need to think about if you are going to tackle this route. The route itself was very gravelly, quite a compact surface, but still you do need fairly thick tyres for that. So I'd recommend a gravel bike or a mountain bike, definitely not a road bike for this one. But it's a lovely, lovely route. When you head up to Clatteringshaws Loch, you can see for miles and miles on a clear day, and it really was stunning when we went. Surprisingly warm and a lot of sunshine and a lot of clear skies, which isn't typical for the western part of Scotland, but we were very, very lucky. We carried on the really spectacular route, and the plan was to head to the bothy that was just off the route. Now, it's a bothy that I'd found on Google Maps. It was something that I wanted to experience. We did cycle right past it. Unfortunately, however, we got there a little bit later than we had planned, and it was a weekend, and it was pretty busy. Now, we could have stayed there, but I think we did kind of want a bit of peace and quiet, and we did have all our stuff with us anyway, like camping stuff, so we didn't mind cycling on, but it is a really great place to stop by the looks of things, with a great view, and it's even got a stove. If you want to do this in a colder month, you can top that up and stay warm. So definitely something to recommend. If you can get in there, try and get there early so that you can guarantee a space. You will be sharing with other people more than likely, but do take some camping stuff as well, just in case, because you never know. We carried on past the bothy until we found a suitable place to set up the tents, just down in the valley by the big waterfall you'll have seen in the film. And that was a really lovely place to stop, actually. Relatively flat ground, nobody around. We just saw one or two dog walkers, and that literally was it. And we were there for 12, 15 hours. So it's a really lovely place to camp. You won't get disturbed. And thankfully, my dad had brought lots of equipment, as he always does, with plenty of food. And we had a nice hot lamb curry for dinner and a cooked breakfast in the morning. So it really was a lovely camping spot and a lovely trip. It did, however, get very cold. We did this in April, and although in the day it was really warm, I actually got a little bit sunburned on the back of my legs. It was that sunny. In the night it got incredibly cold. I think it must have dropped to freezing or below because there was ice on my bike. I woke up a few times shivering. I made the stupid mistake of bringing my summer sleeping bag thinking that we'd be safe now because we're in April, but no, I was wrong. So hopefully on the next trip I can get away with using that. But yeah, it does get a little bit cold up in Scotland, obviously. As you climb out of the valley, you stumble across Bruce's Stone. Bruce's Stone is a historical point of interest. It's a large rock, and basically it commemorates Robert the Bruce's victory over the English, maybe 700, maybe even 800 years ago now. So it's obviously a point of national pride for the Scots, and it's a great place to visit as well. It's something that you can learn about en route. This part of Scotland really is stunning, and I think it's quite overlooked. You tend to hear people about going up to the Highlands, which I've done on many occasions. That's the place to go, the Cairngorms and the western coast of northern Scotland. But I really think that the southwest of Scotland has got a lot to offer. Galloway Forest Park is absolutely beautiful, and the fact that it is slightly under the radar means that there's hardly anybody about, and you kind of get the place all to yourself. It really is a stunning part of the UK. Another thing to mention about Galloway Forest Park is that it's a dark sky park. So it's one of the best places in the UK to see the stars because of the lack of light pollution. We were quite lucky actually, and my dad took that amazing star lapse that you'll have seen in the film because it was very clear, we didn't get a great deal of cloud, and there wasn't a great deal of surrounding light pollution, so we managed to get some lovely pictures and truly spectacular. So if that's something you're interested in as well, highly recommend going there for that. After we'd gone up to Bruce's Stone, it was a fairly undulating route back down into Newton Stewart, and we then loaded up the van, had something to eat again at the Creebridge House Hotel. I think we had a Sunday dinner, and we set off then back home. It really was a great adventure, and it's something that you can pack into a weekend as well, depending on where you live. Absolutely would recommend riding there. I hope you enjoyed that film. I really enjoyed that adventure. It was great to spend some time with my dad and do something a little bit different, because as much as I love going on bikepacking adventures by myself, there is always something extra special about going with somebody else that you like and you can spend some time with and make some memories. So that was really, really enjoyable. Just before I go, if you want to know about any of the gear that I use, all of that is listed on my website, which is in the video description. Just click that link and you can see everything I use and links to buy those things if you're looking for something similar. Thank you very much for watching. I will hopefully see you in the next film. Remember, I bring one out every single month. Please consider subscribing, leave a comment, give this video a thumbs up, and we'll see you in the next video. Cheers.